Bitcoin maintained positions above $90,000 throughout most of 2025. Ethereum remained relatively stable all year. Market analysts proclaimed it as the moment crypto matured into a legitimate asset category. Meanwhile, your alternative coin holdings are obliterated by 95% and crypto social media has transformed into therapy sessions for devastated investors learning to navigate perpetual contracts. The optimists constantly claim this cycle is unique. For once they were correct, but for completely wrong reasons. Today we discover what transpired this cycle, the underlying causes, and the implications for crypto's trajectory. My name is Alex and you're watching Web3 Verse. Before starting, I'm not offering financial guidance, and nothing here represents investment recommendations. This is analysis from a recent industry report addressing critical questions surrounding today's crypto market. If you appreciate our content, hit that like button and let's dive in. When markets burn you, two paths emerge. Become cynical and disconnect, or intensify focus and discover how to position yourself strategically. If you're pursuing the latter, you've selected the correct content. Today, we're analyzing Wintermute's 2025 over-the-counter trading report, essentially a comprehensive market year review. Wintermute represents one of crypto's leading market-making operations, and few participants possess better positioning to comprehend market dynamics at any moment. Many anticipated 2025 would be the explosive culmination of the four-year cycle. All components appeared finally aligned. Wall Street and governmental administration had pivoted strongly toward crypto. Regulatory challenges were resolved. If you held Bitcoin, you likely experienced a profitable year. As Wintermute's analysis indicates, there wasn't a failed bull market. BTC's value appreciated over eightfold between the $15,000 bottom in late 2022 and the all-time peak of $126,000 reached last summer. However, for numerous participants who don't possess substantial Bitcoin and instead wagered their fortunes on a perpetually upcoming altcoin season that would exponentially increase their wealth, it proved sobering. According to Wintermute, this marked the year the four-year cycle fractured permanently. Rather than traditional seasonality, their over-the-counter data reveals a year of relentless volatility interrupted by brief trends instead of extended seasonal movements. The predictable patterns that previously indicated when to acquire and liquidate essentially disappeared. For instance, that market principle stating crypto markets surge every October regardless of fundamentals? That phenomenon was absent in 2025. Activity concentrated early in the year with strong momentum followed by challenging softening through spring and summer. Optimism surrounding the new pro-crypto American administration rapidly evaporated. Risk sentiment deteriorated dramatically by the first quarter's conclusion as memecoin and AI agent narratives faded. Trump's tariff declaration on April 2nd was particularly devastating. But as Bitcoin's price demonstrates, money flowing into crypto didn't evaporate. It simply became trapped in isolated channels beyond crypto social media's reach. Trading activity concentrated into BTC and ETH while only select altcoins captured the majority of trading volume. This reflected the gradual expansion of exchange-traded funds and digital asset treasuries to larger altcoins alongside the memecoin cycle's collapse in early 2025. Capital arrived, concentrated on major assets, and halted. This undermined altcoin holders anticipating a rotation of market participants extracting profits from BTC and reinvesting them further along the risk spectrum. Wintermute characterizes this as liquidity becoming more concentrated and unevenly distributed, driving greater divergences in returns and activity. Essentially, the rising tide supposed to elevate all vessels became confined to the harbor. Where capital previously flowed freely between assets, it now encounters structural obstacles that didn't exist in previous cycles. And this appears permanent. In 2020, the strategy was relatively straightforward. Money entered through Tether, purchased Bitcoin on Binance, rotated profits into ETH when Bitcoin became stagnant, then spilled into altcoins when people desired more than 15% gains. ETH would surge, those profits would flow into DeFi, and eventually reach NFTs and microcap tokens. Everyone utilized the same infrastructure, and liquidity was fungible. But that environment concluded in 2025. The primary gateways for capital entering markets are now ETFs and digital asset treasuries. Many welcome these new gateways because institutional adoption suggests upward price movement. But as circumstances revealed, these gateways are also confinement mechanisms. An ETF holding Bitcoin cannot liquidate that Bitcoin to acquire Solana. It's legally required to maintain only the specific asset documented in its prospectus. The fund administrator cannot spontaneously decide to rotate into altcoins, regardless of how attractive charts appear. A digital asset treasury with billions in BTC isn't rotating into altcoins either, thanks to corporate mandates and shareholder expectations maintaining that capital locked in position. These vehicles are structurally confined to major assets, providing depth to the market's top while starving everything beneath. The wealth effect that previously reliably followed fresh BTC highs in previous crypto market cycles was largely missing in 2025. If you had to pinpoint the moment when the alt-season dream died, it has to be October 10th, not because people stopped wanting it, but because the market structure no longer supports it. Capital enters through mandate-bound channels that physically cannot rotate. When retail gets scared, they flee to the same assets institutions are locked into by law. The new dominance of ETFs and digital asset treasuries in crypto money flow helps explain why altcoins didn't receive investment last year, but they don't explain why retail stopped appearing initially. For that, you need to examine what else was occurring and where crypto ranked in the attention economy. Wintermute attributes the increasing brevity to market fatigue after last year's excessive behavior, which is diplomatically stating people got burned repeatedly and simply stopped believing. Individual themes periodically attracted attention, notably the perpetual decentralized exchange competitions, memecoin launchpads and emerging payment primitives, but none sustained momentum. Projects continued attempting to generate narratives that previously drove altcoin rallies, but conviction failed to develop each time. This is what market exhaustion resembles. There was no shortage of narratives in crypto, but the demand needed to sustain any of them diminished severely in 2025. The capital that previously chased them was busy generating 60% returns in space stocks instead. Consequently, altcoins materially underperformed. Wintermute's report draws a direct conclusion. The traditional 4-year cycle is becoming obsolete. 2025 provided evidence that market performance is no longer dictated by a self-fulfilling 4-year narrative. The predictable post-halving euphoria, the alt-season rotation, the rising tide lifting all boats, these are outdated expectations that no longer fit the crypto market structure. What comes next depends on whether liquidity can actually spread beyond the handful of major assets that absorbed everything in 2025. Wintermute suggests 3 possibilities. First, if ETFs expand their mandates to include other assets, the floodgates open. There are already filings for numerous altcoin ETFs with regulators. If approved, mandate-bound capital gets new destinations beyond just BTC and ETH. Second, if Bitcoin explodes upwards, rallying so hard that the wealth effect overwhelms the structural hurdles to an alt-season. If prices get really extreme, even mandate-bound capital could start to leak. But this requires BTC to go significantly higher than current levels. Third, attention returns to crypto. Tech stocks plateau, the AI bubble cools off, and retail capital rotates back to crypto with fresh enthusiasm. Wintermute marks this as the least likely scenario. It requires both conditions simultaneously: stocks getting boring and crypto developing a compelling enough narrative to win back attention. That's a high bar when every week there's headlines about data centers and space and precious metals outperforming everything. For now, crypto's easy money era is apparently history. And if you want to succeed in 2026, you may need to abandon some old assumptions and truly examine the market as it exists now. The explosive moves that defined previous cycles are being suffocated by sophisticated strategies designed to extract steady income rather than chase moonshots. The market now rewards patience, capital efficiency, and professional execution, and it actually punishes the kind of wild volatility that used to create altcoin seasons. That's all from me today. Thank you for watching Web3verse, and I'll see you in the next one.